In this video, I'm going to be changing the heater controller on the Smart Fortwo. Quite a common problem on Smarts is temperature regulation in terms of the heating and ventilation. This is technically a climate control system, albeit a rather primitive one. It should be possible to set this at a temperature and the vehicle should maintain that temperature. It doesn't always happen, and you find that you set it at your chosen temperature, you get hot air for a while, then suddenly you'll get cold air, and then it doesn't seem to hold. You can temporarily reset it by going max down to the minimum and then back to your chosen temperature, and it might be okay for a while, but then it happens again. There's a variable resistor inside here that this is linked up with, and I believe that that's where the problem lies. This is more than it looks. This is actually the control unit as well. So I'm replacing this unit now to solve that problem. At first glance, it's easy to wonder how this might come apart because there are no holes in the radio for a radio release tool or anything like that. The retaining screw actually lives behind here. So this panel just prizes out. I used a pick behind here. When I started to release it, the front cover came off. And it's the whole unit that you want to remove, not just the front cover with the switches. So it's important not to separate that out. It's quite easy to do. And the screws in here is a T25. I loosen and remove that. It's then a case of unclipping this panel. Take that off. This does lift up. You have to be a bit brutal with it. When you look at the underside, you can see where it fixes into position. Got various tabs and they engage here, here and here, and then down at the front as well. Just gives you some context. Now we need to remove the radio, which is nice and straightforward. Just 4 T25s to each side, and then the radio can be released. Need 2 hands for this really. We can either leave that hanging or disconnect it. It's just important not to damage anything with the sharp edges of the radio. And this reveals the 2 screws that hold the heater controller in place. Okay, so I'm looking at the back of the heater controller through the windscreen here, and you can see that there are 3 connector blocks to remove, and there's also a cable. You can just see the white cable where it enters the back of the heater control unit. I'll show you this on the new part. So here's the new part, and you can immediately see the cable, and you can also see where the 3 connector blocks go. This cable here is responsible for the heater direction, and it connects at the other end to the heater box. Now we don't want that to come out because it will be a bit of a cow to get back in because of where it is, so it's easier to disconnect it at this end. I don't need this cable. I'm going to use the existing one on the car because there's nothing wrong with it. So it really is just a case of freeing it up from here, and then there's like a ball joint here, and then separating it from that, which is quite easy to do. You just turn it on itself, it just pops out. It's important to note that these little lugs here are different sizes, so it can only go in one way. I'm going to loosen but not fully remove these T10. Now fully remove these T10 screws. With the use of the mirror you can just see that I have detached that ball and socket joint from the back of the heater controller. It's set to the screen position, so we've got to make sure the new one goes in that way. And as I remove the heater controller, I want to make sure that I'm not pulling on that cable in any way, shape or form. And it comes free. Set the new part to screen as well. The new part can be slid back into position. I found it easier to pull these wires down out through here out of the way, which leaves this area free to just focus on the mechanical linkage without having all those wires in the way, which can drive you mad. I've got it in position, but it's not quite snapped home yet. And there we go. I needed both hands. I kind of got it from above and below because you can reach it from both sides, and that's snapped home now. Works beautifully. T10's back in. Before tightening these two, it's Important to make sure that this is engaged correctly each side in the slot. And there we go, everything is reconnected. Just a quick check. Yeah, I can feel that the directional elements of it are fine. The radio is refitted. 4 screws retightened. Time to refit this surround. It does all click reassuringly into position. This panel just snaps back into position. It's got a couple of clips, one each side, and locating dowel each side too. The job is complete. Now all we need to do is test it just to see if this one regulates better than the previous one. Okay, so it's only going to be a matter of time before I can determine if that does now regulate the temperature better than the previous unit. But I'm going to need to do a decent road test to find out. And I can't really do that until the next job is completed. This, the gear shifter motor. This is next in line. This will be a good video. Looking forward to getting this fitted. That will be coming to you very soon. Meantime, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you again in another video very soon.